There's wearable printers?
Oh, there is. Yeah, you can like strap them on your
Really?
wrist and stuff. Yeah, just so you can kind of walk around and have your hands free. Like, yeah, we're turning into like cyborgs
Oh,
now.
I didn't know that.
They have wearable scanners and wearable printers. So you're kind of like
Really?
Iron Man. You know. Hey everyone, I'm Jared,
Hi, I'm Melinda.
and welcome back to The Secret Life of Inventory. This is a show where we talk about all things inventory related. And today we're going to be talking about a topic that is near and dear to my heart, barcodes. So we're going to be talking about all things barcode related. We're going to be talking about what they are, how they work, the different types of symbology, how much they cost, and of course, how you can implement barcodes in your business today.
Surprisingly, there's still a large number of companies that are just using pen and paper or Excel for tracking their inventory. And this is because a lot of these businesses share the common misconception that barcode systems are expensive and only for, big box stores or major brands.
Yeah, and I mean, the truth is that barcodes can actually be, you can reap the benefits from them. If you're a small to medium-sized business, pretty much anyone can get started for as low as like a few $100s. So they're not just for the big guys, they're for the little guys too. And we're going to show you how you, as the little guy, can take advantage of barcodes today. So if you want to learn more about anything inventory, please subscribe to the channel and you'll get notified whenever we drop a new episode. But for now, let's just dig into barcodes.
So barcodes, at first glance, they just look like a bunch of lines and numbers, but what are they exactly?
Yeah, so I mean, if you boil it down, all a barcode really is like it's a picture that represents a code, an alphanumeric code, right? There are different symbologies, and that just really depends on like how you're using your barcode. So like certain industries will use specific barcodes to their industry. The common ones we see in the stores are those linear barcodes, of course,
Yeah.
the black and white.
Rectangular ones.
Yeah, exactly. Those are generally speaking are usually are UPCs. Again, they're different symbology. But yeah, for the most part, it's just a way for a machine to read a code and then connect that code to a database.
Can you elaborate on what symbology means?
Yeah, so essentially symbology is just like a different coding language. A lot of different industries, like for example, books. If you're buying a book, they have a specific barcode that they have on the book that just books have, right? So it's called ISBN, I believe it is, an ISBN. And then like other products, like the traditional one, again, you see in the grocery stores, those are generally UPCs, Universal Product Codes. There's also EANs, which are European article numbers. And then those are used for products that you're selling to other people, to consumers or suppliers or whatever. And then of course there's like code 128, code 39. Those are more for internal use, like logistics. And
So can you tell me, how do these barcodes actually work?
yeah, so I mean, the common misconception about barcodes is that they're just like these magical things, like that there's all this information just stored in this picture of like a bunch of black lines, right? But the reality is there needs to be a connection made prior, right? So again, all a barcode is just a way for a machine to read a code. That code needs to actually be connected to some sort of database, right? The information needs to be there already, right? In order for that relationship to exist. So really a barcode is just a numbers and letters, right? So that doesn't mean anything unless it's actually pointing you to something, right? So here's an example. When you go to the library, those still exist, I think. When you go to a library and you're looking up for a book, right? You know the name of the book, you know the author of the book, right?
Yeah.
You don't obviously have any of the information inside the book. That's why you're at the library, right? So you go over to the, those drawers you pull out and they have all the cards, right? I think that's how libraries still work. Maybe they
It's
don't.
been a long time since I've
Yeah,
been to one too.
it's been a while, right? But we'll say that's how they still work. And maybe they probably have computers now, right? But the same idea, right? You type in the name of the book, the author, whatever, and then it'll give you like a code and it'll tell you what floor it's on, what shelf it's on, what stack it's in, whatever, all that. So then you can go there and then locate the book. Think of barcodes as the little card in the library. In and of itself, it doesn't actually have any information other than where the information is located. So barcodes are essentially that. They're the little card that tell you, or tell the computer rather, where the information is located. And then it will then go to that information and then pull up the information.
Yeah, it makes life so much easier.
Exactly.
Like even for like when you're going to the mall, like, oh, do you have this shirt in stock or like something else? Yeah, I think just go beep and then
Good to go. Pulls it up, right? Pulls it up all for you. That is like magic. But it's not technically magic because you have to do all the legwork and set it up beforehand. Yeah.
So if people want to start their own barcode system, how would they go about creating their own barcodes?
So, I mean, you're going to need a few things, obviously. You're going to need barcodes, right? That's the big one. You can't really barcode anything without barcodes.
Yeah.
So that's the main thing that you're going to need. And how you get your barcodes will kind of rely on how you're using them and what your workflow is. So if you're looking to just kind of use barcodes internally, just in your own company, in your own business, and you don't really need other people to recognize, be able to scan those barcodes and glean any information from them. You can just use like a barcode generator. There's tons of them online. One that we've recommended often is barcode-generator.org.
Is it free?
It's free. Yeah, totally free.
That's
That's always the first
know.
question. Yeah. Hold on. Before you continue, is it free?
Yeah.
Yes, it is. It's super easy to use. It's free, so you can just go there. It'll generate as many barcodes as you want. You can just print them out. I think it provides you a bunch of different format options. You can just print them out and then use them. Then there's also actually barcode fonts, which is a great way to kind of, and those are great because you can kind of just like do things as you want. If you have like any program that supports true type fonts, you can just go in and then type out your code that you've created. So some people like to make their barcodes the same as their SKUs. So if you have a system in place already, you could just grab your SKU number, type it as a font, and then it'll just like magic. You have a barcode now, right? And then you can print those out, put them on your products or whatever, right? And then the simplest and the best option, in my opinion, a little bias, of course, is if you already have an inventory management system that has barcode capabilities, has like the barcode functionality built into it, they will be able to just generate barcodes for you, right? So you could just go into your product. You want to generate a label with a barcode for one of your products, right? You just go to that product listing, you can generate that barcode, and then you can actually use our built-in label designer and then put that barcode into the label, make a custom label of any size, shape, get as fancy or simple as you want with it. And then boom, you just print them out and then you can scan them and they're going to be attached to the product that's already in the system that you've already built. So it's super easy to start implementing if you already have the system, right?
So what are the pros and cons of creating your own barcodes?
So obviously creating your own barcodes is really great option for anyone who's just looking to do something really cost efficient, right? Because it's free, right? You can just
the
use
font is free, the generator's free.
Exactly, right? So that's perfect. You just go and you just make your barcodes, and then you can even just use your cell phone to scan your barcodes if you don't want to invest in a scanner, and you can even use an office jet printer to print out the labels. So it's like it can literally be free, and you can even use Excel to just kind of scan it. Now, that being said, I don't want to miss the opportunity to talk trash on Excel, but it's not great for barcoding, right? Because if you're using Excel and you're using barcodes, all you're really doing is you're creating a super fast keyboard, right? So you can populate cells and stuff, but just scanning the barcode. But like, does that really do you much good? I don't know. Again, stay in your lane, Excel. The cons, I guess, would be that no one will actually recognize your barcodes outside of your industry, right? So they're not going to get any information. There's no authenticity attached, right? So if no one really know that those products are coming from you, if you're just using external barcodes, and a lot of times you actually are required to have registered barcodes. So it's really only good for internal purposes, but they are great for that purpose.
So what if people want to sell their products externally, like in retail stores or online stores? How would they do that?
Yeah, so the only way of doing that is you go through an organization, a non-for-profit organization known as GS1, so Global Standards 1. They handle like global logistic standards like all over the world, and a big thing that they do is barcodes, right? And they've been around for as long as the barcode has been around. Before they were GS1, they were known as the Universal Product Council, and it later became known as GS1. But that council is, they kind of developed the barcode. There's a whole bunch of different options they had available that they were going to choose from. They landed on that linear one, the one that we see today, the UPC. Yeah, and they've been around since the very first barcode was used in a supermarket. So it was 1974, I believe, and it was in a pack of juicy fruit gum.
I used to eat that as a kid.
Yeah, exactly, right? So, I mean, what better way to start off than with juicy fruit? It's so iconic, right? So, yeah, that was the very first barcode that was scanned, and they were around since then. They're still around. And you essentially you go to GS1 and you purchase barcodes. Now, I'll say that you're actually not purchasing the barcode, right? What you're actually purchasing is the code. And what the barcode, comes with a barcode. So they'll embed it in either a UPC, which is Universal Product Code, that's used in North America and other places, mainly North America. And then there's the EAN, the European Article Number, and that's of course used in Europe mostly. And you can get your GTIN, which is a global.
What does that stand for?
Yeah, it's a global trade item number. And it's a universally recognized number. So when you get a barcode through GS1, that GTIN, anyone can scan that barcode and they'll be able to have it linked to a global database that's registered through GS1. So everyone will know that that product belongs to you, your organization. You'll have that authenticity. So it'll fight like counterfeiters and stuff like that. So that's what you need if you're going to be selling your products and you want your products to have that barcode recognized externally.
So GS1 is kind of like the central hub spot for all these barcodes.
Yes, they are like the master and commander of all things barcodes. So yeah, they
So
They're all over the world too. So
Yeah.
anywhere you are in the world, there's GS1 offices everywhere. So you can find it. You can get your barcodes easy, no matter what.
So how do people know what kind of barcodes to use? Can you tell us more about the different kinds of symbologies?
Yeah, of course. So, I mean, the type of symbology that you're going to be using is really going to be dependent on like how you're using your barcodes and where you're using your barcodes and your workflow ultimately, right? So as we talked about before, if you're using your barcodes just internally, you don't need to spend the money because, purchasing, buying barcodes obviously costs money. So if you're just using them internally, you can probably rely on like code 128 or code 39, which is the barcode font. We actually have a code 39 font that we offer for free. Again, for free. Always the first question. Jeez, you're very economical. I like that. Yeah, it's free to use. Anyone can use it for as long as they want, any kind of way they want. Yeah, we've had people like ask for it to use for like making tattoos and stuff.
Oh.
Yeah, so any purpose. You want a tattoo of your name in code 39? Boom, download the font, baby. You got it.
Like a dystopian like vibe putting a barcode on.
It
like,
really is.
Humans.
Yeah. I mean, maybe that's going to be what employers are going to be doing soon. They're just
my
going to barcode all of us, right?
Number 9, number 20.
Yeah. And then there's then if you're going to be using your barcodes externally, of course, you're going to have to get a GTIN. So you'll either be using a UPC or an EAN. And then there's also, I mean, there are so many different types of barcodes. So I'm kind of just boiling down to the ones
What if people want to sell on like Amazon?
Yeah, so Amazon actually has their own separate barcode symbology. So it's ASIN, and that's a great way for like if you're selling a product that other people are also selling, it will kind of put you all into the same ASIN bucket. So it makes discoverability for customers a lot easier. And I'm pretty sure they're like required. I know they're required for fulfilled by Amazon. So if you're having Amazon fulfill your orders for you, you're not doing all your own logistics and whatever, you definitely need an SIN for that. Yeah, so there are a lot of different types. There's also, like I mentioned before, for books, there's the ISBN number. There's tons of different symbologies.
It's like QR codes, right? Like,
and then there's QR codes, of course. Yep.
Since COVID, it became a big thing. Like
huge thing. Yeah, they're kind of becoming they're the new kid on the block. They're the ones making waves now because Japan's actually been using them forever. They were actually developed in Japan, and they've been using them. It's like in 2011, for example, they used them for like a disaster relief for the earthquake that happened there. So people, can get relief and things that they need a lot easier just by, scanning a QR code to have information about like, where help centers are, where they can get water, food, shelter, all that stuff, right? So it was like really great to have that available. We've been adopting them obviously more recently in North America. Now they're kind of everywhere,
I feel like a lot of restaurants don't even have paper menus anymore. They're just like scan the code. Like when you don't have a phone, like you just don't get food.
Yeah, you don't eat. No smartphone, no eat. Sorry.
Even, like, on your phone, there's like Apple Wallet. You can put your credit card in there, boarding passes, and like concert tickets.
Yeah,
like,
everything. All of them are using QR codes. Yeah, and even GS1, I think they're going to be kind of steering everything into QR codes as well.
Really?
Like by 2027, I believe they want to have everything converted to QR codes. I mean, QR codes are great because they're capable of storing a lot more information than the traditional barcode. Like that's why like you can scan them and it'll send you to like websites and stuff.
Yeah,
that's
like business cards have QR
business
codes
cards. Yeah,
too.
it's been using in marketing, all kinds of different things. Yeah, so they're again new kids on the block. lot of ways it can be used. And I think you've even seen bouncing around on the Super Bowl screen this year.
And one of my favorites is the Starbucks app. There's a scan to pay, like because when you order at Starbucks, you get star points too, right? So if you want to just like attach your credit card to Starbucks, you just use your phone.
That's brilliant. Yeah, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
All one thing. You get your points and you get to pay with one scan.
Yeah,
it's getting all so streamlined these days. I love it.
I remember looking into it, and also I didn't know before, but QR stands for quick response code.
Oh, see, I did not know that either. I just figured they just
we just always do
just whatever. Let's just name it.
So how much does it cost to start a barcoding system?
I mean, it can be as inexpensive as $0. Realistically speaking, if you want to get a really good system going, it can cost actually, as few as a few $100s, Again, if you're creating your own barcodes, that's free. So that's just not going to cost you much, right? If you're buying your own barcodes, depending on how many you're buying, it's going to cost a little bit. You can do just your phone for scanner, or you can get like a USB scanner. Those can, you can get one on Amazon for as low as like $40. Like they're really, really cheap. Printer, you can use your OfficeJet printer, or if you wanted to invest in a label printer, you can get one of those. A few $100 would get you a pretty decent one, of course. So they're pretty cheap. And then you, of course, the inventory management system with a barcoding capability. capabilities attached to it. Now you can get like trial versions for those and just to see if you like it. If you're already paying for it, you may as well
Maximize it.
maximize the return by implementing the barcode, start using the barcodes, right? But even those like inFlow, it's incredibly cheap. A couple $100 a month, as low as that, you can get start using it with barcodes. So yeah, it is very affordable. Like we mentioned, it's not just for those big box stores, those behemoths. Like even small businesses can start barcoding, and it's only like the barrier entry is so low. Like, and those are just startup costs, right? The only thing that's going to be continuous is if you're if you have a cloud-based system, it's going to be a monthly subscription for that. But the actual implementation of the barcodes, getting that hardware right off the bat, it's a one-time fee, and it's going to save you so much time and money, right? So
if people want to buy barcodes from GS1, how much would that cost?
So like I mentioned, it does vary depending on how much you want. In the past, the barrier of entry was a lot higher because you needed to get at least 10, right? So then you had to pay the $250 for the 10 plus the $50 renewal fee. So you have a $300 barrier of entry just for 10 barcodes. But recently they actually released this program where you can actually just buy a single barcode, right? Which is great for like a small business. If you have just like a couple products, like under 10 products, you can just buy those barcodes for $30 a piece, and there's no renewal fee, which is
nice.
Great,
So like
right? One-time fee, it's just, which is
No
like so
cost.
rare these days, like, wait, you don't want my money every month, or every year or something, right? But yeah, no, so they're great for that, and it's made. We loved it so much too because we have a lot of customers who are smaller to medium-sized businesses that don't have a lot of products, and they just want to barcode a few things. So we actually partnered with GS1, and
nice.
we partnered with GS1 and we created an inFlow GTIN barcode shop. So it's a place where you can just go and buy your barcodes. It's directly connected to GS1, so we're not even taking a cut. It's the same price as you would pay if you were buying it through GS1. It just kind of makes the process a little more seamless for our customers to kind of just go buy a few barcodes and then get started barcoding right away.
That's nice. So is GS1 the only place to buy UPC or EAN codes?
Okay, so this is a bit of a sticky subject. So for years and years and years, GS1 allowed reselling of their registered barcodes. But back in, I think it was in 2002, they decided that they weren't going to allow that anymore, and they maintain now that you have to buy your barcodes through GS1 to make sure that they're officially registered barcodes, so they can't be third party essentially, right? And a lot of companies, like if you're selling through if you have your stuff on Macy's shelves or you're selling through the Walmart marketplace, a lot of these companies, they don't accept third-party barcodes. So your best bet is to really go through GS1. It's not that expensive. It's very, very affordable, right? So it's not like you're saving much money in the long run. And it gives you that like peace of mind, I suppose, because we don't know what's going to happen in the future, right? We don't know how strict they're going to get on these barcodes. I know even some marketplaces, I think like Amazon is like cracking down on them as well. So like a lot of marketplaces are going to start cracking down on the usage of them. So you really should just, if you want to future-proof your purchase barcodes, definitely go through GS1.
What about hardware? If people want to start printing their own barcodes, like what kind of things would they need?
Yeah, so I mean, there's two big things that you're going to need. I mean, well, three if you include the computer, but most of us have that already, right? So you're just going to need a scanner, obviously, and you're going to need a printer. As I mentioned, you could just use your phone and you could just use your office printer, but you're probably going to want something, especially if you have more high volume scanning environment, like you're scanning a lot of stuff every single day. Your phone is going to slow you down. Having to run to your office printer and like cut things and stuff, like who wants to do that? Like, I don't know. Like, anyway, so it's best to just kind of invest a little bit, and that initial investment is going to bring it, take you a long way. So as far as what to get for hardware, for printers, I mean, there are tons of different options out there. There's like, wearable ones, there's, portable ones, there's, stationary ones or whatnot, or
there's wearable printers.
Oh, there is. Yeah. You can like strap them on your wrist and stuff. Yeah. Just so you can kind of walk around and have your hands free. Like, yeah, we're turning into like cyborgs now,
I didn't know that.
They have wearable scanners and wearable printers. So you're kind of like Iron Man,
Multi-purpose.
Yeah. A very uncool Iron Man. So I mean, as far as like specific printers, we've had a lot of luck with the Dymo Label Writer 450, and they come with like a software that you can actually make your labels with and stuff. So that it's pretty great, and it works with inFlow really well. We actually have our own proprietary printer that we're going to be releasing later by the end of the year, I believe. We already have a scanner, and I'll get into that in a minute. But we're going to be releasing a new printer that's going to work really, really well with inFlow, obviously. Hopefully. I would assume so, right? Yeah, no, it's going to work great with inFlow, and we're going to be releasing that later this year. I guess that's really all you need for printer. There's printer paper. But yeah, for that, it's like there's all kinds of different.
Is there specific like sticky label paper?
Yeah, we've had great success with like the Avery series. But like, you know, we're not sponsored by Avery, just so you know, not sponsored. But yeah, we've had a lot of luck with them and good experiences with them. But there is so many different things out there. So just kind of like see what works for you.
What about scanners?
Yeah, so scanners are which scanner you choose is really going to depend on, like, again, how your workflow is, how often you're using it, where you're using it. So, for example, if you're scanning in kind of a stationary place, like maybe, boxes are coming to you and you're kind of scanning them as they flow through the process or whatever, you can just get like a USB wired scanner, you'll plug it into your computer, plug and play, scan away, good to go, right? If you're kind of more mobile and you're in a warehouse situation or, you have a stockroom that's really big or something and you're kind of on the move and you need to be scanning things on the move, you're going to need something wireless. So for that, you can get, again, just a USB dongle, one that kind of just creates, it's like the same thing as
like
the wired
Bluetooth
ones.
connection?
Yeah. So it'll just be a Bluetooth connection and it'll attach to the scanner now. I mean, those are great, but you have to remember that there's no real screen. And so unless you're carrying your computer around with you, you're going to run into some issues. And then what's the real point of doing that? And if it's on a desktop, I mean, good luck, unless you got it on a cart or something. I don't know. So for that, it's like if you're doing more like mobile scanning, we'd always recommend like a smart scanner. And what those are essentially is they're like,
there's a screen.
Like, they have a screen and they have the software actually loaded into it. So you can actually navigate the software while you're scanning. Like we have a smart scanner, so inFlow Smart Scanner 3. Here's a quick plug. It's amazing. It's built into an Android system and it's like got all kinds of great features, attachments and stuff like a pistol grip attachment, all that. So it kind of creates a more traditional scanner feel to it. So it has inFlow like just downloaded right onto the app. So you can do your pick, packing, and receiving just right there in the app and then navigate the app and do all that stuff. So you can see what you're doing while you're doing it, right? So it's amazing. And you don't have to worry about like losing connection, the Bluetooth thing. Like if you go too far, you might lose connection and it might stop. You don't really know if it's still scanning. Is it still making the noise? Who knows, right? You don't know what's going on. You're just kind of just scanning blind. You just, spray and pray, I guess.
So just to recap, what are the main things that people should consider if they want to implement a barcoding system into their business? Yeah.
So, I mean, again, the big thing is how you're using your barcodes, internal, external. That's like the number one question that you should ask yourself. Am I going to need these barcodes recognized outside of my organization? And that is going to kind of take you down one of the two paths. So it's either going to be, creating your own barcodes or buying barcodes, right? So that's the number one. And then number two is like how many products do you have? How often are you scanning those products? How many products are you going to be labeling on a constant basis? And that'll kind of dictate like what type of hardware that you're going to require. If you're scanning a lot, you're going to need a scanner that can keep up with that volume, right? If you're printing a lot, you have a lot of products and a lot of things that you're storing, everything needs to be labeled. You're going to need a printer that can keep up with that kind of workflow, right? So it's really all dependent on like how you're going to be using those barcodes and kind of what your workflow is.
Nice. I think we covered a lot about barcodes.
I think everything about barcodes has been touched at this point. I don't even know what's left. And that is a wrap on this episode. Thank you so much for watching, listening, however it is that you're consuming this content. I hope that you've learned everything that there is to know about implementing a barcode system in your business. And if you want to learn more about inventory management, just like and subscribe.
We'd love it if you could also leave us a review. And if you have any ideas on what kind of topics you'd like us to cover next, feel free to let us know in the comments and we'll see you in the next episode.
Okay, bye everybody.
Bye.